Let's do a Superman. Okay. EO180 with 20 bits. Did you hear about the Australian Special Forces being investigated for war crimes? Imagine trying to do that in America. No, I didn't hear about that.
Up in the sky, look!
Oh, so this is a Superman. This is a Superman cartoon.
It's a bird! It's a plane! It's Superman!
They always get the thing wrong. This is a pop cultural thing that I find interesting. That it's like someone initially fucked it up once they transferred it from comic book to like cartoon like this, and no one ever corrected it, so it just became the standard. So like initially when they wrote like, look up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman, the intonation of the voices is supposed to be like, look up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, no, it's Superman. Like two people are supposed to not know what's going on and just be like, what are you talking about? And then the last person's like, no, it's Superman. But when they started doing the radio show and the cartoons, they just have every single one of the people be excited about what they're looking at. So they're like, it's a bird, it's a plane. It's like, why are you excited for a bird? They completely fucked up the meaning of the famous exchange, but it just became the standard. So now that's the thing. Oh, look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. I don't know. I just find it funny that someone in Metropolis is super excited to see a bird. It's a bird. Yeah, we live in a world with superheroes. That's a winged creature. And I guess in the 40s, a plane might have been cool to see. I guess I don't know. PB Floyd 13, thank you for following. We're only like 15 years away or so from the original Action Comics from going into the public domain. That'll be interesting to see what happens. Action Comics being the comics that Superman was introduced in.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to soar higher than any plane. This amazing stranger from the planet Krypton, the Man of Steel, Superman. Possessing remarkable...
Andrew Dickerson asks, Hannah, have you read the Superman Smashes the Klan comic book? It's really, really good. Maybe you should stream old radio show episodes that it's based on sometime. Maybe. I do know about that. That's really interesting. If you guys don't know, for one thing, Superman was if you don't know, created by Jewish immigrants in New York City. And I really appreciate that about the character, because at the heart of the character, Superman's always been very inclusive, at least in design. I'm not saying everything Superman's ever been in is great. For instance, this cartoon might include some pretty racially insensitive stuff about Japanese people. It probably will. It's a World War II propaganda thing. But at the heart of the character is what America should be. Accepting of outsiders, and bringing them into, you know, what is America as a melting pot, and being like, welcome, you know, you're here, you know, be a upstanding citizen, and you are welcome, you know, that's a great thing. And in the 1930s? I don't remember, but there was a radio show that was very popular for Superman because radio serials were a thing. Not everyone had televisions, so they'd gather in front of the radio and listen to radio serials like The Lone Ranger or Superman. And the writers of the Superman radio show were hearing about the Ku Klux Klan, which was sort of gaining popularity at the time. And they infiltrated some KKK meetings. I'm not making this up. Someone make a movie about this, because it'd probably be a pretty interesting movie. Tucker White 94 with 20 bits. Question, how does the narrator know any of this? I don't know. It's Jor-El. I'm just going to pretend it's Jor-El in my head. And then Mitchell Drummer with 250 bits says brony time. So anyway, they got a bunch of information about, like, oh, here's the secret handshakes and codes of the KKK, and they wrote, like, a however many part radio serial all about Superman stopping the KKK and how pathetic they were, and they put in the radio show, like, oh, here's the handshake the KKK people do, and here's, like, the code words and dog whistles they're using. It's pretty good. Pretty good stuff.
Physical strength, Superman fights a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Disguised as a mild-mannered newspaper reporter.
2man 642 with 20 bits. But Hannah, what if Superman was like evil and he used his laser eyes to cut people in half? Is Zack Snyder in my comments?
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
EO80 with 20 bits. One annoying thing about a lot of both Eastern and Western comics is how fast it can go fully misogynist. Like, I get that the main audience is generally men, but yikes, you know.
Clark Kent.
Here's the Superman versus KKK show. All right, thanks. I'll save that.
That's
Superman versus the Ku Klux Klan. Does it have a date? The Clan of the Fiery Cross, 1946. It's 3 hours long. Maybe we'll do a special public Domainia on this at some point. I'll save it. Dun dun dun. Oh, always with the gong. This is my least favorite trope from there's a lot of them. My least favorite World War II propaganda trope is probably the quote sneaky Japanese end quote trope. The idea that was pushed forward in order to get the public on the side of, like, interning American citizens who happen to be racially Japanese, to get them and put them in camps. They pushed forward this unsubstantiated idea that for some reason random American, random Japanese Americans were somehow loyal to Japan and secretly were working to undermine the United States government and its war efforts, and had to, like, oh, we gotta round up all the Japanese people and put them in camps. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And every time I see it, I'm just reminded, like, here's literal propaganda they're feeding to people so that they're fine with them rounding up their neighbors and putting them in camps. Don't ever say that shit can't happen in America, guys. It has literally happened in America. We're still putting people in fucking cages, okay? Just saying. Tucker White 94 or 20 minutes. I'll give this short this. That's kind of a cool transition. It's interesting to watch these. Let's see who did this one. This is this is actually produced by Famous Studios. They were the successor to the Fleischer animation. I thought it was Fleischer because it's a similar style. The Fleischer animations, this is the first one after Fleischer, but it's using a lot of the same techniques. We'll do a lot of rotoscoping. If you don't know what rotoscoping is, basically they project a live-action footage that they filmed of a scene onto a special device so that you can then trace frame by frame or film frame by film frame. You're basically animating on top of live-action footage. It's a much quicker way to do animation because you don't have to actually figure out the layout of what's going on. You're literally just, you know, tracing over actual live action footage that's already been shot. And you'll notice in a lot of these too, they'll minimize which part of the frame is moving, you know? Like, as little motion as possible to save on budget. It's interesting how they got around, you know, expense and time concerns with a lot of this early animation stuff. It's even more shitty that Japanese Americans that served in the war were highly decorated and served commendably while our country was making them out to be monsters. Yeah, it's messed up. And then Logarth the 20 bits, tra-la-la, happy music for the ultimate death machine, tra-la-la. And Wreath with 20 bits, when I was learning about Japanese internment camps in high school, I had the same class as my friend who's Japanese. I asked for his perspective, and he said, my grandparents met in one, so I wouldn't be alive without them. There's that, in a lighthearted way. Ugh. In a post-Hawk way, I guess, sure, but yikes. Like, I'm sure at least one or two people, you know, met people in like, German concentration camps, too. That doesn't make them good, you know what I mean? That's a ginormous plane. That's a plane that doesn't even make sense. It's a Superman cartoon. It doesn't matter. I just find it funny that they're like, how big's the plane? It's the biggest plane! Like, the perspective is indicating that this is like the size of the Starship Enterprise. Like, this is a ginormous ship.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Compensating for something, America? We always are. We always are.
Lois Lane of the Daily Planet.
Clark Kent, Planet.
Wow, what top-notch security.
And in operation, this stabilizer is one of the most effective yet devised, representing an investment in years.
How'd you like to be making the test flight in this, Lois?
Maybe I will.
Fine chance.
Everyone off, please. Everyone off.
Come on, Lois. That's us.
Is she gonna... God, Lois. Okay. Now, you know, Lois Lane in terms of... Lois Lane wasn't written super great in the 40s. She's written fine nowadays. In fairness, I'm not caught up to date on Superman comics. I haven't read a ton of them, so maybe she's written stupid. I don't know. I understand Lois Lane in the role of the reporter. I'm gonna get the scoop. I'm gonna get in dangerous situations because she's a tenacious reporter that cares about getting the honest truth and being on the scene to report on things as they happen. That's fine. I understand that as characterization. Cool. Gives her opportunity to get into lots of trouble, but also has agency in and of herself and her reporting duties, but it also gives situations where Superman can come in and, you know, help her out. Fine. As a conceit, I understand. What is she reporting on here, though? Ooh, I'll stow away on this airplane that's going to fly, and then I'll be able to report on how it flew. You could do this from the ground, Lois! What are you doing? Tucker White 94, nothing about the premise makes sense. If this short makes the case that Japanese Americans are spies for Japan, why would one be allowed to work at the probably government-run factory? Yeah, it's very odd.
Say, by the way, Lois.
Superman can hear someone fart 3 states away, but he doesn't notice Lois Lane snuck away from him as they were walking down the escalator off the plane. This is like a really good example of cost cutting. Watch the background. Does it just repeat? just repeating the same background. They're literally like, it's just the static cell. I'm assuming they're using animation cells, which are like different layers. They're clear layers that you draw different elements of the animation on, and then you overlay them over each other and take pictures, and you move them. So you have a background. It's got that Flintstones background thing going on, where it's the same background that just sort of loops. So you sort of pull it frame by frame so it looks like the plane is moving, and then once it gets to the end, you just like start it back at the beginning again. I might make fun of it, but I actually respect the ingenuity, you know? They're working on really, really tight budgets with very little time to put these things out. I understand. I understand. It's a clever way to get around it. Okay, fine. It's like a helicarrier from Marvel.
Funny about the tools of capitalism.
Tucker White 94, 20 bits. Hey, maybe the runway is circular, Hannah. There are actually studies done into them. Okay, sure. Oh, no.
Nothing will interfere with voyage to Tokyo.
There's nothing funny about this.
Their plan is literally to hijack the plane and just steal it. That's pretty good. Tucker White 94 with 20 bits. How much you want to bet the schmuck who inspects the weapons was in the shitter when the Japanese guy snuck in? I don't know.
Japs are stealing the giant bomber. Hurry up!
Attention, all pilots. Giant bomber being stolen. Take off immediately.
Well-placed bomb will stop pursuit.
Why would you even fight a country that has Superman on its side? That seems like a bad idea. Have you guys been watching The Boys, by the way, on Amazon? Boy, that show's good. I don't know when Homelander's gonna absolutely snap and just try and take over the world or slaughter thousands of people. But man, is that show engaging. Tucker White with 20 bits. Good thing nobody questioned a woman saying that this probably top secret plane was hijacked. Yeah, they didn't have a lot of questions for her, surprisingly. I won't spoil season 2. I won't spoil season 1. I won't, go watch The Boys. It's a good show. Have I seen Red Sun? No, I read it a long time ago, though. But it's been quite a while.
This looks like a job for Superman.
Where you are. Leave plane immediately, or girl will be released.
Okay, little man. You win.
I don't understand why would you even try and fight Superman? Unless you're like Apocalypse or no, that's X-Men. Who am I thinking of? He shoots Omega. What, he has the Omega thing. I'm not a DC person. I'm a Marvel person. Steppenwolf works for him. He's one of the old gods or new gods or something. Doomsday, Darkseid, whichever one's the intelligent one. Not Doomsday, Darkseid. I'm thinking of Darkseid. Unless you're Darkseid or Metallo or you're Lex Luthor and you have kryptonite and a robot suit. Why are you fighting Superman? It would literally be like if there was like a known god that people knew existed and you're like, I'm gonna fight God. It's such a bad call. Or Mr. Mixelzittlplick. Yeah. He's a fifth dimensional imp though, so. Or Batman, yeah, Batman. That's because Batman is the biggest Gary Stew of them all, okay? Batman, and I say this as a big Batman fan. I really like Batman as a character. I think he's fun. However, Batman winning by virtue of being Batman is such a tough trope to do well. Like, if you want to see an example of it being done very, very badly, Batman v Superman is a good example of how Batman wins because Batman, how that can go very, very wrong. I missed a Bits message? Of course I did. Just once I'd love to see Clark Kent walk into a room and change without realizing someone was in it. He just vaporizes them immediately. Or he does the Superman 2 trick. He kisses them on the mouth and erases their memory somehow. Wait, did that happen at the end of Superman 1? Which Superman movie does Clark Kent kiss Lois Lane's memory away?
There's nothing funny about the tools of
probably a Lannister. Thank you for subscribing at tier 1. Superman 2. Okay. Superman's about to Homelander this plane. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. This is literally the scenario that Homelander said was impossible in The Boys, Season 1. That's all I'll say. I don't want to spoil that part of The Boys, but it's pretty good. Lord Necroges, thank you for the 20 bits. Superman, just do what Sully did. I don't think Superman has a pilot's license. Fun fact. Okay, so again, without getting into too many spoilers, there's a situation in The Boys where the Superman analog character Homelander is faced with a crashing plane, and he is asked to do basically this. Why don't you get out in front of the nose and stop it? This is something Superman has done or something similar many, many times before. But of course, in reality, you can't do that. If you tried to hold a plane, you know, by 1 point or by 2 points that are the size of human hands, your hands would push right through the thing because the plane can't support its own weight off of the 2 points of contact that you have. Superman, in some continuities, as far as I'm aware, it's been mentioned that he has the power of tactile telekinesis, and what that means is that if he is touching something similar to touching this plane, it's not just that he's supporting the weight right here at the palms of his hands. He's actively creating a field around the plane that will support it at all points around it, and that's why Superman can do this kind of thing. But if Homelander tries it with real-world physics outside of his super strength and stuff, he'll just push his hands through the plane. I don't know why I felt the need to tell you all that. It's irrelevant to this propaganda piece. I just find it interesting. And an engineer, that's not good for the plane. Yeah, I'd think not. Sounds like retconning. Oh, it's totally a retcon. They didn't think of that originally. It's just a way for nerds to be like, hold on. Actually, if Superman tried to lift a plane, his arms would go you know how comic book people are. I'm one of them. We're fucking insufferable. So it's just a thing to try and explain that away.
Well, you're safe in this plane, Lois.
I'd feel much safer if Superman were here.
Do they ever explain why Spider-Man has infinite web material? He doesn't. Spider-Man will sometimes run out of or run low on web fluid. It's just very plot contingent. If the plot needs Peter Parker or Miles Morales or any other spider person to be out of webbing, then they are. Other than that, it's not a concern. In fairness, though, most spider people don't do the organic webs like they did in the Raimi movies. Spider-Man, manufactures the web fluid and then just keeps extras, like cartridges that Spider-Man can switch out. So that's Superman. What else? How about the Ductators? Let's do the Ductators. With 20 bits. Here's some bits. Hope you had a good day. Thank you. I hope you're having a good day too.
In a happy barnyard some years ago, a seemingly unimportant event occurred which was destined to vitally affect the future of that little world.
The Ductators is one of your favorites. I don't think I've seen this one, actually. Logarth with 20 bits. Some have science webs, very few have bio webs, and I mean Noir and Cartoon use special webs in the form of a bolo net and cartoon web, respectively. Yeah. Freaking Out 99 with 35 bits. I could pick a superhero that I'd want to be. It's Spider-Man every time. There was also a time where... there was one time in the comics, it might have been Ultimate Comics. It's been a while. Let me see if I can find the panel scans. How do I describe this in a way for Google to know what I'm talking about? Spider-Man Reborn from Spider comic. One time, Spider-Man... There was basically a mandate from editorial, and this will happen sometimes, where editorial will be like, hey, we need you to make this change with this character because our market research shows this, or because we want this to be more in line with the movies. So around the time not Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies came out. They did, in the movies, he has organic webs. He doesn't invent web shooters like he does in the comics or the modern movies. He just has it in his body as part of his spider powers. So editorial was like, hey, Spider-Man comics. You know how Peter Parker, makes web fluid with his science smarts? Well, the movies don't do that, and we want the comics to be more in line with the movies because the movies are very popular right now. So we need you to come up with a way for Spider-Man to go from using mechanical web shooters to having organic web shooters like in the Sam Raimi movies. And they went, okay, and they did the weirdest thing. Logarth with 20 bits. The Flash and Spider-Man are two excellent role models for young men and everyone else too, frankly. Sure. I gotta find this. Where is it? Spider-Man gets organic web shooters. They did it by him basically being reborn as a spider. It's so weird. Where do I... Does anyone remember this? I'm not making this up. I swear to God. When did Spider-Man gain organic web shooters in the comics? Here we go. Several separate times, including the symbiote costume, technically, but following the Sam Raimi movie, they introduced the Queen. There was definitely a kiss, and then Spidey mutated into a man-sized spider. It persisted until one more day. Yeah. Spider-Man, the Queen. It bugs me, so I gotta show this to you, because it's so weird. She, like, kisses Spider-Man, and he, like, turns into a giant man spider, and then is okay, he turns into, like, a man spider like this. And then he, like, gets reborn with organic web shooters. It's disgusting. It's just the most weird, out there way for them to try and give him organic web shooters. Organic web shooter. Come on. Yeah, see, like when he gets reborn, he's naked because he like his naked body bursts from the spider like this. This is okay to show on Twitch because it's all covered up. It's fine. And he bursts from the spider and he's like, "Oh, I got organic web shooters." It's so weird. Logarth with 20 bits. Oh, neat fan fiction. Yeah. So that was one of the dumber retcons. It's not the dumbest. That's probably one more day. But that's a story for another, completely different. That's a story for a different stream. TubeMan 642 with 20 bits. Remember Spider-Man from the cartoon where Peter Parker grew extra arms? I do remember that.
Mr. and Mrs. Duck were expecting.
Couldn't they just say his powers mutated and now he has organic web shooters? I guess. But then how do you have weird material whereas Peter Parker bursts from a giant man spider? Okay. What's wrong with one more day? Okay, so Spider-Man progressed in the comics, and I swear I'll get back to the propaganda in a second. Spider-Man progressed in the comics to the point where eventually he ended up marrying Mary Jane. He was no longer a teenage or even college like loser with nothing going on. He still had problems, but they were different problems because as you grow older and change as a person and your life changes, you get married if that's something that's interesting to you. And Peter did get married to Mary Jane. You still have problems, but the problems evolve, right? And at that point, Spider-Man was married to Mary Jane in the comics. There's a mandate from editorial at Marvel where they decided, hey, we want to go back to teenage, single Peter Parker who's not married because that's like the classic version of Peter Parker. So, Tucker White 94 with 20 bits. This is Public Domainia, Hannah, not Comic Strip Workshop. Make with the racist cartoons. I'll be done in a second. So, they said, fine, we'll figure something out. So what happens is Aunt May, who was like 90-something years old, dies. She's old. This is not Marissa Tomei Aunt May, who's like in her 40s. This is like 80, 90-year-old Aunt May, a woman who has lived a full life. She dies. Tucker White, no, something else. Maybe someone followed. Yeah, Avalon 10, thank you for following. Elias says, thank you for following.
That's right, capitalistic
so,
propaganda.
Aunt May dies. Understandably. Old lady. Peter Parker is so distraught over this. He is so distraught that he makes a deal with Mephisto. Mephisto is basically Satan. The Marvel Universe has multiple entities that are sort of Satan, but Mephisto is definitely one of them. He is Satan. Spider-Man makes a deal with the devil to bring his 90-something-year-old aunt back to life after she dies. And in return, I forget the exact circumstances. I don't know if he literally said, I'm going to take your marriage, but I think it was something along the lines of, I get to take 1 day of your life. And Spider-Man's like, okay. And of course, like a genie, or like a Faustian bargain, the devil, Mephisto, is like, ha ha ha, the 1 day I took is the day you got married, bitch. And then it resets everything, and Spider-Man's no longer married to Mary Jane. Aunt May's fucking 90, and she's alive, I guess, for another 6 months, considering how old she is. And it's so stupid, and everyone hated it. Anyway.
There's nothing funny about
Tucker White 94, 20 bits, that's literally the plot to Shrek 4. Yeah! Yeah, it is! They Shrek Ford Spider-Man! Don't ever Shrek 4 Spider-Man! Anyway. Back to the thing.